days are daily. Water and wine, which are made. Negotiations in Ugadi, I offer my respectful obeisance to our great A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Maharaj and very dear to Lord Krishna on this earth, having taken shelter at the feet of the transcendental Lord. Obeisance is unto you, O spiritual master, O servant of Srila Bhakti Saraswati. You are so kindly preaching the message of Lord teaching humanity, when delivering these blessed countries which are filled with the personalism and realism. Today is the most auspicious day, the Wednesday of Lord Balarama, the full moon day of the month of Shravan, and the beginning of the second month of Chaturmas, the month in which Supreme Personality of God himself, Krishna, and his internal pleasure potency, Srimati Radharani, making an appearance. So we will read some selections from Srila Prabhupada's books describing the glories of Lord Balarama and his importance. Very important, everyone should read, is Adi Leela, Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 5. This chapter is chiefly devoted to describing the essential nature and glories of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Lord Sri Krishna is the absolute personality of Godhead, and his first expansion in a form for pastimes is Sri Balarama. This chapter summary is very nice to give a capsulated understanding of the entire chapter, which is voluminous and very, very spiritually exact in its detail. Beyond the limitation of this material world of the spiritual sky, Paravyam, which has many spiritual planets, the supreme of which is called Krishna Loka. Krishna Loka, the abode of Krishna, has three divisions, which are known as Dwarka, Torah, and Goku. So the cutting of the vegetables, as far as possible, keep it as silent as possible. I remember Jai Waking class and saying, you will not find any college class or business seminar where people are stapling and shuffling and everything is quiet. Beyond the limitation of this material world, three divisions, which are known as Dwarka, Mathura, and Gokula. In that abode, the personality of Godhead expands himself into four plenary portions: Krishna, Balarama, Purnima, the transcendental kingdom, that's Purnima, and Aniruddha. They are known as the original quadruple forms, Chaturviva. Krishna Loka is a transcendental place known as Swetadweep or Vrindavan. Below Krishna Loka, in the spiritual sky, are the Vaikuntha planets. On each Vaikuntha planet, a four-handed Raya, standing from the first quadruple manifestation, is present. Personality of Godhead, known as Sri Balarama in Krishna Loka, is the original Sankarshan, attracting deity. From this Sankarshan expands another Sankarshan called Maha Sankarshan, who resides in one of the Vaikuntha planets. By his internal potency, Maha Sankarshan maintains the transcendental existence of all the planets in the spiritual sky, where all the living beings are eternally liberated souls. The influence of the material energy is conspicuous there by its absence. Also sometimes say in the spiritual world, time is conspicuous by its absence. We realize there's more and more, everyone is getting older and older and older. And as you practice Krishna consciousness, you feel yourself in the same youthful energy that you did, not just as a young person, but spiritual life is based on eternal youth. You'll see more and more how incompatible is the time element to make you older. And then also time separates everyone. We all cannot stay together forever, either by time or even by place most of the time. leads to the statement we can understand that such exalted personalities as your board sure does Babaji, who said, I'm all alone in my service to the Supreme Lord of this world. Of course, he himself, in his position and his service to the Lord, externally you can define his service as being alone. But here we are meant to make a great society of devotees that is meant to give harmonious and loving association to everyone throughout the entire world, to help them to realize that their real family is not the temporary family created at the time in this material world, but the eternal family of Krishna and his eternal associates. There's a wonderful memory of His Grace Adi Prabhu, who has been doing food for life, feeding the people of New York City, we say the homeless, but in this material world, everybody's homeless, because they're away from their real home, back to Godhead. They're at Tompkins Square Park for 20 years. Or did I get it wrong? Was it 25 years? Long time. So his memory, he joined in New Vrindavan, I believe 1973, 1974. So he was posted to do guard duty, where Srila Prabhupada was staying in the house at New Vrindavan, which I believe is a commemorative plaque where that house once stood. Does that have to be that far?
Yeah.
Really? Okay, I'll send it. If you ever visit New Vrindavan, that place is just below the Palace of Gold, on the way to the main temple. So it was a ranch-style house, but the driveway was the way the land was sloped, it was the basement. So you stand during guard duty, middle of the night, and it starts to rain. So he opens up the garage door to go in to get shelter from the rain, and Prabhupada's light, this was just after 1 o'clock in the morning. Prabhupada had woken up and he turned on his light, which is going to begin his translating Srimad Bhagavatam. So he heard the noise of the shuffling of the garage door and came down. And this is the first time that Adi Prabhu, as a brand new devotee, was face to face with his spiritual master. And he pays his full obeisances as Prabhupada is looking at him. And Adi Prabhu, ice cold, thank you very much. How may I serve you, Srila Prabhupada? Prabhupada, at the mountain, he said, you can go where I cannot go. Where is that, Srila Prabhupada? And Adi Prabhu is thinking, I'm just sitting here in New Vrindavan, I don't go anywhere. The Prabhupada had just been around the world. He'd been Australia, Malaysia, India, London, to San Francisco, to Dallas, to New Vrindavan, to New York, and back to India. Where is that, Srila Prabhupada? Into the future. And he's like dumbfounded with the future. And there, and it says, and you can tell everyone how much Krishna loves them. So it's instruction for his whole life, and it's instruction for each and every one of us also. And that is the glory of disciplic succession, where Balarama is the original spiritual master. So there, the disciplic succession comes down. You can say through time, like they just had the Olympics, and I don't know if they still do this, the torch is run all over the world in so many different countries. And one athlete is holding the torch and they deliver it to the next one after their designated run. And ultimately it goes and lights the flame in the place where the Olympics is in 2028. Everyone, it will be in Los Angeles. So But the ultimate place to meet, the ultimate destination of all the runners, is the place of the Olympics. So the ultimate place for everyone in the disciplic succession is to bring everyone back home, back to God. So there's no Shilabhakti-Santa 1874 to 1937, A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Shilabhakti 1896 to 1977, and some of Paul's disciples, such as Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, 1944 to 2024, just shy of his 80th birthday. All of these things will not be the thing that we will keep in mind as we keep in mind in this material world, because everyone has achieved eternality. So this statement is very nice. Time is conspicuous by its absence. Where did we leave off? Yes. The influence of the material energy is conspicuous there by its absence. Of those planets, the second quadruple manifestation is present. Outside of the Vaikuntha planets is the impersonal manifestation of Sri Krishna, which is known as the Brahmaloka. The other side of the Brahmaloka is the spiritual Karna Samudra, or causal ocean. Material energy exists on the other side. Still know?
Yeah,
Okay. This reminds me of a comedy act that I won't describe. The material energy exists on the other side of the causal ocean without touching it. And the causal ocean is the Mahavishnu, the bright Purusha expansion from Samprashan. This Mahavishnu places his glance over material energy, and by a reflection of his transcendental body, he amalgamates himself within the material elements. As the source of the material elements, the material energy is known as Pradhan. And as the source of the manifestations of material energy, it is known as Maya. But material nature is inert in that she has no independent power to do anything. She is empowered to make the cosmic manifestation by the glance of Mahavishnu. So just see the potency of direct personal contact. Is that like it is the ghostly topic, or we have to say it many times to the sign of the door? This door makes a lot of noise coming and going. Unless you do like Jayananda just did, very gently close it behind you. In the material energy is a huge labyrinth that we're buried under. There's the cover, each one 10 times greater than the next one. It's like a supermax security prison. They get a layer of security and another and another and another. Escape is impossible. Daring escapes from material prisons. Maybe some have made it, but in the material world, nobody gets out unless they're fully rectified. They are reformed completely from all material desires. But when you do, and if you are, then the liberty and freedom of the spiritual world is your rightful place to exist. Narada Muni describing his freedom of movement to the Asudeva, epic purports in the 5th and 6th chapters of the 1st canto. First presentation that Prabhupada gave of his preaching about Krishna. I only have these books, and the first disciples eagerly died thirst in the desert, just drank this nectar and just completely revitalized them. Who cares about the typos and the crude and strange Indian printing? The words of the pure devotee, heard, sung, and accepted by purified men and women who are thoroughly honest. So we'll see how this awesome description of the power of Balarama, Samprashan, what he is in charge of, his immense potency, how it all comes down to Lord Nityananda and Lord Balarama. We just celebrated the Panihati festival. I was able to get a twice this year's celebration. We were in Laguna Beach, and they invited from this nearby ashram near Santa Barbara His Holiness Giriraj Swami, who, among so many other things, is known for his incredible humility and soft-heartedness, and he simply read the pastime there, the deliverance of Raghunath Das Goswami in the opening of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And when the statement came from Raghava Pandit consoling Raghunath Das Goswami that, no, it was Lord Nityananda who consoled him on his second meeting. After he executed the instruction, make a Sankirtan festival for my associates. And it was done gloriously, amazingly, and transcendently, humorously for all concerned. So much so that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally came there by his spiritual potency, not by physically. Only those who were very advanced in devotional service could see it. Raghunath Das Goswami could see it. Rest assured, all impediments for your bondage are gone. You will become one of the greatest, most devotees of Lord Chaitanya, situated in its innermost internal circle. It was his mercy that he accepted all of these dealings. So here we are in this material world. What can we offer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Srila Prabhupada showing us how to pray. My dear and insignificant, but I've brought you this thing, kindly accepted, with tears in the eyes and utter humility. So in that way, all of our dealings, if sincerely executed, the Lord will accept. Mahavishnu again enters every universe as the reservoir of all living entities. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu expands. Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. The super soul of every living entity. Still a problem?
You can keep going.
Okay. Can you hear me out there in internet land? Garbhodakshaya Vishnu also has his own Vaikuntha planet in every universe, where he lives as the super soul or supreme controller of the universe. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu reclines in the midst of the watery portion of the universe and generates the first living creature of the universe, Rama. We're trying to understand how intimate is the relationship between Krishna and Balarama. Balarama is the Prakash Vigraha, first expansion of Krishna himself, the source of all the Vishnus. You can understand, one time Prabhupada said, the only difference between Lord Balaram and Krishna is that Krishna is bluish, blackish, and Balaram is white. That kind of gives a picture to the intimacy, but there are differences, more than just the color. That's a different subject. In the Vaikuntha planet, in every universe, is an ocean of milk. Within that ocean is an island called Swetadweep, where Lord Vishnu lives. Therefore, this chapter describes two Swetadweeps, one in the abode of Krishna, and the other in the ocean of milk, in every universe. The Swetadweep in the abode of Krishna is identical with Vrindavan Dham, which is the place where Krishna appears himself to display his loving pastimes. In the Swetadweep within every universe is a Sesha, form of Godhead, who serves Vishnu by assuming the form of his, the Diya, the paraphernalia of Lord Vishnu. Umbrella, slippers, couch, pillows, garments, residence, sacred thread, throne, Sringasan, and so on. Lord Baladev in Krishna Loka is Nityananda Prabhu. Therefore, Nityananda Prabhu is the original Sankarshan, and Mahasankarshan and his expansions as the Purushas in the universes are plenary expansions of Nityananda Prabhu. So we were looking at the last several mornings Narada Muni's instructions to Maharaj Yudhishthira, which make up the latter part of the 7th canto, perhaps 1/3, after the pastime of Lord Srinivas is told in great detail. So we didn't read everything during a quick 1 or 2 minutes after Mangalarti, so we'll spend our time looking here. Okay. As long as one has to accept the material body with its different parts and paraphernalia, which are not fully under one's control, one must have the lotus feet of his superiors, namely his spiritual master and the spiritual master's predecessors. So, Lord Balarama, as the source of Dasya Prema, which is the foundational necessity and or relationship of all devotees in whatever relationship they have with Krishna. Everyone is a servant. He is the source, Lord Balarama, of that sentiment. As the first expansion of Krishna, he will know what is pleasing and desirable by Krishna to the fullest extent. So hence, he is the original spiritual master. Because that is the duty of the spiritual master, to represent to the disciple, to the devotee, what does Krishna want. By their mercy, one can sharpen the sword of knowledge, and with the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's mercy, one must then conquer the enemies mentioned above. Attachment, hostility, greed, lamentation, illusion, fear, madness, false prestige, insults, fault finding, deception, envy, intolerance, passion, bewilderment, hunger, and sleep. All of these are enemies. And there's even more. Sometimes one's conceptions are also polluted by goodness. I'm a very good man. I'm a very elevated man. I'm a very prim and proper man. One of Prabhupada's godbrothers said, Bhaktivedanta Swami, he had proclivity to associate with low-class Western youth. But I myself, not so inclined. I was more inclined to preach to high-class people. Enough said on that. In the Bhagavad Gita 4:9, the Lord says, Janma karma chamedim yame mam yogi one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance, know the nature of Lord Balarama's appearance, and in 1 week know the appearance of Lord Krishna's appearance. And activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world. So Prabhupada said that Mayapur is not just the Janmastan of Lord Chaitanya, but ISKCON at Mayapur will be the Karmastan, teaching what are the activities of Lord Chaitanya. So, knowing the activities of Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON, or what does Srila Prabhupada want us, the unlimited, full instructions how everyone, no matter who they are, how they're situated, what their conditioning, what their tendency, what their ultimate spiritual purified nature is, all of that has been described by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada appeared at the time when there was a lot more available than just a printing press. Tape recorders, I was just looking, Gargamuni, the first portable tape recorder was invented and available for sale to the general public in 1967. Coincidence? I don't think so. So unlimited, who here has heard everything available Prabhupada's hearing? All the Bhagavad Gita classes, all the Srimad Bhagavatam classes, Chaitanya Charitamrita, arrival address, room conversations. Did I miss anything?
Morning walks.
Huh? Morning walks.
Interviews.
I remember even back in the day, take a morning walk with Srila Prabhupada. Who, raise their hand if you did that. You've got to see more hands raised. Okay. Punch her up, of course, yes. How long does it take to go through everything in a normal daily activity? Me, I can say I lost track. Years. And what do you do when you get to the end and you finished everything? You go back and listen again. New and fresh meanings from it with every, right? So, Jayananda Prabhu. How do you make spiritual advancement? Prabhupada's disciple, Jayananda. I don't know, Prabhu. I'm too busy serving to try to think about it. Srila Prabhupada proclaimed him to be the first Vaishnava saint in ISKCON, and that is disappearance day. And his wish was fulfilled. He knew that Srila Prabhupada was going to leave this world, and he didn't want to be here for that, just like Haridas Thakur. He left on the day before the Srinivasa's appearance day, but not before putting the groundwork, framework, and everything required for the first Los Angeles Rath Yatra in 1977. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. O Arjuna, this is the highest perfection of life, and the human body is meant for this purpose. Who here will, at 9 o'clock, promptly leave the temple room because they have other things to do? I want to see how much I can go because we are not constrained by going out for the shadow at 9 o'clock. All right, so we'll go a little bit past 9 o'clock. The human form of body, I'm not going to, for saving time, Bhagavatam 11, 20, 17, that's Uddhava Gita section. Nirdeham adyam sadurlabam labam svapam guru karandaranam maya nukulena nabastat tiritam puman bhavibim natarets atmaha. The human form of body is the most valuable boat, and the spiritual master is the captain, Guru Karna Dharam, to guide the boat in flying across the ocean of nescience. The instructions of Krishna is favorable. Is a favorable breeze. One must use all his facilities to cross over the ocean of nescience. Since the spiritual master is the captain, one must serve the spiritual master very sincerely, so that by his mercy, one will be able to get the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Now just see the correlation between the present spiritual master and Lord Balarama. Earlier in the second canto, if one actually wants the real message of the Bhagavatam, really to be connected to Krishna, one must approach the current link. One should not think oneself to be on the same platform as Lord Rama, to be directly initiated by the flute song of Lord Krishna. So of course that's beyond our understanding of how exalted that is. Yet this type of mentality that let me jump over the current devotees and go to the disciplic spiritual masters who are no longer here because according to your calculation they must be more exalted. And this is just false pride ultimately. Well, if I'm initiated or I'm a disciple of the most or more exalted spiritual master, that you know what that means? That means I'm more exalted than everybody else. This is nothing but an exhibition of false pride. The more one becomes the servant of the servant, the more exalted one actually is. Because the current link, the current sangha of devotees who are trying their level best, according to Kala Desa Patra, time, place, and circumstance, to present Krishna consciousness in the best qualitative way, at the same time quantitatively, as much as possible. They are the representatives of Lord Balarama and Lord Krishna right here and now. Here we go. The significant word here is Achyuta Bala. The spiritual master is certainly very merciful to his disciples, and consequently, by satisfying him, a devotee gets strength from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who therefore says, Guru Krishna Prasadi Bhai Bhakti Lata Bhi. One must first please the spiritual master, and then one automatically pleases Krishna and gets the strength with which to cross the ocean of nescience. If one seriously desires to return home back to Godhead, one must therefore become strong enough by pleasing the spiritual master, for thus one gets the weapon with which to conquer the enemy. And we just read all the enemies earlier. First, you understand how you can be attacked or contaminated by those enemies, and then realize how everyone else outside of Krishna consciousness is not only being attacked, but they're being subjugated by those enemies. Right? And what is a rescuer meant to do? It's meant to rescue the people from the clutches of the bad guys, right? And it's not recommended in most cases to do it alone. You gotta deputize and make a posse. So that is like Shama Sundar. Srila Prabhupada was like a pirate, and we were his band of merry men. You know, he was fearless, challenging. He's like Krishna and Balaram come strutting into Kamsa's Mathura. We don't care for Kamsa's law. My dear boys, you shouldn't make a request like this to Washerman, you know. These clothes are for the king. You will be in great trouble. He didn't even let him finish his rant. He was off with his head. We don't care for Kamsa's rule. Then just after that, he met the Mali, the flower garden, garland maker, and gave him the best garland, Krishna Balaram, which were meant for the king. And by that, he was blessed with all good fortune and success. In general warfare, one must take help from his chariot and horses in order to conquer his enemy. And after conquering his enemies, he may give up the chariot and its paraphernalia. Similarly, as long as one has a human body, one should fully use it to obtain the highest perfection of life, namely going back home, back to God. So we see how Narottam Das Thakur, in his prayer, I'm not seeing the diaphragm properly, because his bobbing page, that's very nice, thank you. Fill me with vigor and enthusiasm to see the lotus face. It cannot be blocked. What was I just saying? I lost concept. Huh? Yeah, Kamsa's rule. The very last statement before I turned to the die. It was the very last thing I said. Anyway, old age is setting in, maybe we'll come back. The perfection of knowledge is certainly to become transcendently situated, Brahmabhuta. As the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, one who is thus transcendently situated and once realized the Supreme Mind becomes fully joyful, he never laments nor desires to have anything and is equally disposed towards all living entities. In that state he attains pure devotional service. Simply by cultivating knowledge, as the impersonalists do, one cannot get out of the clutches of Maya. One must attain the platform of bhakti. Unless one has attained the stage of devotional service and the mercy of the spiritual master and Krishna, there's no possibility there is a possibility that one may fall down and again accept material body. The sword of knowledge is given by Krishna, and when one serves the Guru and Krishna in order to hold the sword of Krishna's instructions, Balaram gives one strength. So Prabhupada on this day gave us a simple prayer. You can come before the Lord today. My dear Lord, this is the problem. This is when you make a wish. Govinda Dasi and Gaurasundar, they brought in a cake for Srila Prabhupada's birthday in 1968. And Prabhupada was just like, what is this, a cake with fire on it? And Prabhupada, this is how we celebrate birthdays in America. You make a wish and you blow out the candles. But you don't have to tell anybody what your wish is. So you can reveal your heart and mind to the Lord Balaram, this is the problem, but you don't have to tell anybody else what the problem is. Kindly help me to overcome it. Balaram gives one strength. Balaram is Nityananda, Rajendra Nandana say, Sati Sita Hailu say, Balaram Hailu. Ah, yes, Narottam Das Thakur. What are these human animals doing? They claim they have no relationship with Lord Nityananda. They're going deep, deep down into the material energy. They have spoiled their human life. My dear Lord Nityananda, I have come to you because I am most unhappy. Please put your glance upon me and make me happy. Kindly keep me in a corner of your lotus feet. Lord Nityananda is eternal, and one who serves Lord Nityananda also becomes eternal. There's no dichotomy between Lord Nityananda and Lord Balaram. They're one and the same. And especially for us, seeing the activities of Krishna and Balaram, how they are Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, they are coming to teach us and show us. We can emulate and follow their activities, where the activities of Krishna and Balaram might not be so much recommended in our present condition. One may very easily take shelter of their lotus feet. They come especially to deliver the fallen souls of this age. Their weapon is Sankirtan, Harinam. Thus, one should accept the sword of knowledge from Krishna and be strong with the mercy of Balaram. We are therefore worshipping Krishna and Balaram in Vrindavan. Prabhupada concludes by saying, Narottam Das Thakur, praise Nitya Karanahaibe, Rajya Radha Krishna Pabe. When one receives the mercy of Balaram, Nityananda, one can attain the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna very easily. If one has no connection with Nitai, Balaram, and even though one is a very learned scholar or jnani, or has taken birth in a very respectable family, these assets will not help him. We must therefore conquer the enemies of Krishna consciousness with the strength received from Balaram. And Kaviraj Goswami, who is narrating this epic Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, in one of his chapters he concludes, I, the most fallen Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, continue to chant the epic Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is the essence of all transcendental bliss. So he's just narrating this entire amazing, mind-blowing understanding of the position of Lord Balaram, Sankarshan, and the Vishnus, and to show the most exceptional greatness of Lord Balaram as Lord Nityananda. He tells this. He concludes the chapter by describing the history of his leaving home for a personal pilgrimage to Vrindavan and his achieving all success there. In this description, it is revealed that the author's original parental home and birthplace were in the district of Katwa, in the village of Jamtapur, which is near Naihati. Krishnadas Kaviraj's brother invited Sri Minikatam Ramdas, a great devotee of Lord Nityananda, one of the 12 Gopals, one of Krishna's 12 boyfriends, a
appearing in this world as Minikatam Ramdas, to his home, but a priest named Gunarnava Mishra did not receive him well. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's brother, not recognizing the glories of Lord Nityananda, also took sides with the priest. Therefore, Ramdas became sorry, broke his flute, and went away. This was a great disaster for the brother of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. But then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami tried to correct this offense. And for that, Lord Nityananda was very pleased with him. On that very night, Lord Nityananda Prabhu graced Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in a dream, told him to leave his home and to go to Vrindavan for there the very next day. Don't delay, nothing to lose, don't delay, do it today. Okay, tomorrow, get a good night's sleep first, right? And leave for Vrindavan the next day. And then he goes on to say how he achieved the mercy of all the devotees and all the presiding deities in Vrindavan and was ultimately elected with great enthusiasm, not like an election. Some people don't like who was elected, but everyone unanimous. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he should be the one to bring forth the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We will spend our remaining time by looking at some of Lord Balaram's pastimes as they're described in the Krishna book. So as young children, Krishna and Balaram were playing different games, and of course, this is killing the demon Purnima. Once while the boys were engaged in their tranquil pastimes, a great demon of the name Columbus entered their company, desiring to kidnap both Balaram and Krishna. Although Krishna was playing the part of a cowherd boy, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he could understand everything, past, present, and future. So when Columbus entered their company, Krishna began to think how to kill the demon. But externally, he received him as a friend. Oh, my dear friend. Just like when the demon Brikasura was chasing after Lord Shiva after begging the most heinous benediction in anyone's head, I will touch with my hand, will crack into a million pieces. And the first person that I will use your most kind and merciful benediction upon is you, Lord Shiva. Chasing all over the earth, finally coming to the abode of Swetadweep, where Lord Vishnu appeared as a dwarf brahmachari. Oh, my dear son of Sakuni. Sakuni, the evil demon in the dice game, with the Pandavas and always giving nefarious and bad advice to Duryodhana, and other atrocities. So this Brikasura is his son. So if you're addressed as the son of such and such father, you're going to, oh, yes, you know my father. So he knew who this Sakuni was. Who this Brikasura was. Why have you come so far? You should take rest. He's like huffing and puffing, trying to chase down and what got him? He said, don't you know how important your body is? The demons think their body is very important, right? Because with this body, you can fulfill all the desires of your mind. Wow, that's just such great logic. Yes, I will. Please tell me, what is your mission? Why? And then ultimately he tricked him and boom, and everything finished. So he understood everything. My dear friend, it is very good that you have come to take part in our pastimes. Krishna then called all his friends and ordered him. With this proposal, all the boys assembled together. Some of them took the side of Krishna, and some of them took the side of Balaram, and they arranged to play in duel. The defeated members in duel fighting have to carry the victorious members on their backs as a horse carries its master. We would call that piggyback ride. They began playing at the same time, tending the cows as they proceeded through the Bandiraban forest. The party of Balaram, accompanied by Sridham and Vishab, came out victorious and Krishna's party had to carry them on their backs through the Bandiravan forest. Screenplay guided Krishna, being defeated, had to carry Sridham on his back, and Bhadrasena carried Vishal. Imitating their play, Kalambasura, who appeared there as a cowherd boy, carried Balaram on his back. Kalambasura was the greatest of the demons, and he had calculated that Krishna was the most powerful of the cowherd boys. In order to avoid the company of Krishna, Kalambasura carried Balaram far away. A miscalculation. To think that you'll have a better chance with Balarama over Krishna. Okay. The demon was undoubtedly shape-shifting, right? He's appearing as a cowherd boy, or the Putana, a hideous, monstrous witch, appeared to be just like a beautiful goddess of fortune, on par with the contemporaries of Mother Yashoda. Krishna exposed her real identity. So it's not so much what one looks like, but what one's intention. That's the beauty of the spiritual world. One's beautiful intention is non-different than your beautiful rupa, your body or form. In the material world, vast difference. The only place where you can even hope where that gulf of difference shrinks down and ultimately becomes one is in the association of pure devotees and no other place. The demon was undoubtedly very strong and powerful, but he was carrying Balarama, who was compared to a mountain. Therefore, he began to feel the burden and thus assumed his real form. He was forced to assume his real form. When he appeared in his real feature, but Balaram didn't have to expand or change his form. He stayed as a young cowherd boy. He was decorated with a golden helmet and earrings and looked just like a cloud with lightning carrying the moon. Balaram observed the demon's body expanding up to the limits of the clouds, his eyes dazzling like blazing fire, and his mouth flashing with sharpened teeth. At first, Balaram was surprised by the demon's appearance, and he began to wonder, how is it all of a sudden that this carrier was changed in every way? But with a clear mind, he could quickly understand that he was being carried away from his friends by a demon who intended to kill him. Immediately, he struck the head of the demon with his strong fist, just as the king of the heavenly planet strikes a mountain with his thunderbolt. Stricken by the fist of Balaram, the demon fell down dead, just like a snake with a smashed head, and blood poured from his mouth. Beautiful. When the demon fell, he made a tremendous sound, and it sounded as if a great hill was falling upon, being struck by the thunderbolt of King Indra. All the boys rushed to the spot, astonished by the ghastly scene. They began to praise Balaram with his words, "Well done, well done." All of them then embraced Balaram with great affection, thinking that he had returned from death, and they offered their blessings and congratulations. All the demigods in the heavenly planets became very satisfied and showered flowers on the tranquil body of Balarama, and they also offered their blessings and congratulations for his having killed the great demon with the sword. There was a Vaikuntha player's rendition of the killing of Dravida Gorilla. Prabhu, were you present at the time, or did you even participate in that wonderful function? I believe Gaur Hari played the titular role and added his great comedic talents to...
I remember Gaur Hari.
Yeah. So that's another pastime. Okay, how's everybody doing? Okay? Okay. Where are we? We bookmarked everything. Pastime is long, but we will.
Also,
We'll cut to the chase. Huh?
I think it's Shruti Kirti recalls how he liked to tell this story in the garden of Los Angeles, and how Srila Prabhupada just really loved it.
Was the play done in Los Angeles or here?
So the play was done in
Henry Street? The Prabhupada sitting in the rocking chair smiling. I was told he was watching Kidnapping of Rukmini with Rasagna in the titular role. Right. Where did we go? I just had the bookmark, right? So Dravida Gorilla was, of course, one of Kamsa's friends, and he actually Jarasanda's friends. And he was making terrible disturbances everywhere. And he was also a friend to Balmasora. So when Balmasora was killed, he became very angry, and he planned to create mischief throughout the country in order to avenge the death of his friend. His first business was to set fires at villages, towns, and industrial and mining places, as well as in the residential quarters of the mercantile men who were busy in cow protection. Sometimes he would uproot a big mountain and tear it to pieces. In this way, he created great disturbances all over the country. Sometimes he would go to the beach, and with his powerful hands, he would create so much disturbance in the sea that he would flood the neighboring cities and villages. Often he would go to the hermitages of great saintly persons and sages and cause a great disturbance by smashing their beautiful gardens and orchards. Not only did he create disturbances in that way, but sometimes he would pass urine and stool on their sacred sacrificial arenas. He would thus pollute the whole atmosphere. He also kidnapped both men and women, taking them away from their residential places to the caves of the mountains. After putting them within the caves, he would close the entrances with large chunks of stone. He regularly defied the law and order of the country. Not only that, but he would sometimes pollute the female members of many aristocratic families by etc., etc. While creating such great disturbances all over the country. Okay, so Lord Balarama was by the Raivaka mountain. So Dravida Gorilla heard Lord Balaram there, and he went there. There he saw Lord Balaram in the midst of many beautiful young girls, enjoying their company while singing and dancing. Dravida became captivated by the beauty of Lord Balaram's body, whose every feature was very beautiful, decorated as he was with a garland of lotus flowers. Similarly, all the young girls present, dressed and garlanded with flowers, exhibited much beauty. Lord Balaram seemed fully intoxicated by drinking the Varuni beverage, and his eyes appeared to be rolling in a drunken state. Lord Balaram appeared just like the king of the elephants in the midst of many she-elephants. The gorilla by the name Dravida could climb up into the trees and jump from one branch to another. Sometimes he would jerk the branches, creating a particular type of sound. Kila kila, so that Lord Balaram was greatly distracted from the pleasing atmosphere. Sometimes Dravida would come before the women and exhibit different types of caricatures. By nature, young women are apt to enjoy everything with laughter and joking. And when the gorilla came before them, they did not take him seriously, but simply laughed. However, the gorilla was so rude that even in the presence of Balaram, he began to show the lower part of his body to the women, and sometimes he would come forward to show his teeth while moving his eyebrows. He disrespected the women, even in the presence of Balaram. Lord Balaram's name suggests not only is he very powerful, but he And just like previously, he was at the Sankasura. And why is Krishna and Balaram enjoying all the pretty women? I should have the women, not them. So this is the mentality in the material world. So here we see this obnoxious, crazy demon, Dravida gorilla, had the same mentality. And we see how the pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, understands quite different, that the womanly form is meant for the satisfaction and pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Supreme Personality of Godhead alone. And by that understanding and that purity of heart, such a pure devotee becomes dear to everyone. Dear Adhira Janapriyo Priyakaro, Nir Matsuro, Pujito. So here we see the position of the demon, and we're going to see what happens to him. He disrespected the women, even in the presence of Balaram. Lord Balaram's name suggests not only is he very powerful, but that he takes pleasure in exhibiting this extraordinary strength. So Balaram doesn't just mean extraordinary strength, it also means he takes pleasure in exhibiting his extraordinary strength. So Lord Nityananda, Lord Balaram will take pleasure in exhibiting their strength, in uplifting and strengthening us, individually and collectively. Just like when Lord Vishnu appeared in the 6th canto to the Prachetas, 9 brothers, you're all different, but you're all united. This is very pleasing. So by that, they didn't ask, but he came of his own accord, Lord Vishnu, I want to give you a benediction. Don't try to see God, but act in such a way that God, don't try to go to God, but act in such a way that God will want to go to you. So he took a stone and threw it at Dravida. The gorilla, however, artfully avoided being struck by the stone, just like the monkeys in Vrindavan. They're like, they're the epitome of the artful dodger. In order to insult Lord Balaram, the gorilla took away the earthen pot in which the Varuni was kept. Dravida, being thus intoxicated with his limited strength, and just see how bad things get here. If like an ordinary, muscle man or playboy, if they did this to him, there would be like a riot. He began to tear off the valuable clothes worn by Balaram and the accompanying young girls. He was so puffed up that he thought Balaram could not do anything to chastise him. I'm a big gorilla, you're just a little guy. Want to make something of it? And he continued to offend Balaramaji and his companions. Lord Balaram saw the disturbances created by the gorilla and heard that he had already performed many mischievous activities all over the country. He became very angry and decided to kill him. A very good decision indeed. Court, jury, and executioner all in one. Jai Lord Balaram.
Jai.
When Lord Balaram saw the disturbances created by the gorilla, he immediately took his club in his hands. The gorilla could understand that now Balaram was going to attack him. To counteract Balaram, he immediately uprooted a big oak tree. And with great force, he came and struck Lord Balaram's head. Lord Balaram, however, immediately caught hold of the big tree and remained undisturbed, just like a great mountain. To retaliate, he took his club named Sunanda and hit the gorilla with it, severely injuring his head. Currents of blood flowed from the gorilla's head with great force, but the stream of blood simply enhanced his beauty like a stream of liquid manganese coming out of a great mountain. The striking of Balaram's club did not even slightly disturb him. On the contrary, he immediately uprooted another big oak tree, and after clipping off all of its leaves, again struck Balaram's head with it. But Balaram, with the help of his club, tore the tree to pieces. Since the gorilla was very angry, he took another tree in his hands and struck Lord Balaram's body. Again, Lord Balaram tore the tree to pieces and the fighting continued. Each time the gorilla would bring out a big tree to strike Balaram, and Lord Balaram would tear the tree to pieces by the striking of his club, and the gorilla Dravida would clutch another tree from another direction and again strike Balaram. In this way, as a result of this continuing fighting, the forest became treeless. When no more trees were available, Dravida took help from the hills and threw large pieces of stone, like rainfall, on the body of Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram, in a great sporting mood, began to smash those big pieces of stone into mere pebbles. The gorilla, being bereft of all trees and stone slabs, now stood before Balaram and waved his strong fists. Like a big King Kong. Oh! Then, with great force, he began to beat Lord Balaram's chest with his fist. This time, Lord Balaram became most angry. Since the gorilla was striking him with his hands, Lord Balaram would not strike him back with his own weapons, the club or the plow. Simply by his fists, he struck the collarbone of the gorilla. This blow proved fatal to Dravida, who immediately vomited blood and fell unconscious upon the ground. When the gorilla fell, all the hills and forests appeared to totter. After this horrible incident, all the siddhas, great saints, and saintly persons from the upper planetary system showered flowers on the person of Lord Balaram and vibrated sounds glorifying his supremacy. They said, by killing this great demon, Dravida, you have initiated an auspicious era of the world. All such jubilant sounds of victory were heard from outer space. After killing the great demon Dravida and being worshipped by showers of flowers and glorious sounds of victory, Balaram returned to his capital city of Port. So we'll stop here. Other recommended places to read is in chapter 68, the marriage of Samba, where Lord Balaram tried to make a peace negotiation with the Kauravas headed by Duryodhana, and they simply scoffed at the idea, and Lord Balaram showed them a great unprecedented miracle with his plow and forced them to come to their senses and offer their sincere apologies and bring forward the girl for proper marriage to Samba as Lord Balaram had wanted. And then also, very important, we didn't get time to look at the chapter. Lord Balaram visits Vrindavan, where he consoles all the residents of Vrindavan by his presence. He stayed there for 2 months. Chaitra and Vaishakha, April and May. And the chapter concludes with him calling Yamuna Devi, personified, to come, and she was at first reluctant, but then later came. And Lord Balaram enjoyed the Varuni beverage, where we get the hint to serve Varuni beverage to Lord Balaram's feast. Thank you all very much for your kind attention and patience. All glories to Lord Balaram, Lord Nityananda, Shri Shri Gauranitai, Krishna Balaram, Shri Shri Radha Govinda, and of course, Lord Balaram and Krishna have appeared simultaneously as Lord Jagannath and Baladev, with their sister Subhadra in the middle. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much.
Hey.
So if anyone has any time in the midst of all their services and activities, please come 2 stops on the subway for Lord Balaram's Harinam from 1 to 5:45 at Battery Park. 10 years ago, Jayapataka Maharaj wrote a little glorification of the Harinam in New York. He said that by your efforts, the Statue of Liberty will be renamed to the Statue of Liberation. We have that in the writing.
Hare Krishna.
Grace Rama Guruji.
Jai.
Vancha Kalpadurivya Jai. 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 Jai.